I thought I'd make this video because someone recently had a problem with their starter motor issue, and the Stag is very prone once in a while when you have a 50-year-old car to have a click start issue. You turn the ignition on and you get this click 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 click, and the car eventually does start. So typically what happens is there's a solenoid on the end of the starter. This is my spare engine with the starter motor. I'll try and zoom out a bit. Oops, zoom out, sorry. This is the starter motor, and this is the solenoid that people talk about that has problems. So let me zoom in now. Is basically what happens is there's a line from the battery. This is on my Mark 1, and I'm sure the Mark 2 has the same thing. There's a big hefty black line that connects to this bolt here. So and that's a direct feed that's a direct feed from the battery, so it's live. So basically what happens is if you want to try and start the car, the solenoid engages, and there's a plate inside the solenoid that basically connects this side to this side. And so what you can do is two things. If you wanted to try this, you could get a screwdriver and jump these 2 points here. And now obviously you're under the car, there's a lot less room, so you want to be super careful. Now alternative way is, now that's one way. Now if it starts, or the engine turns at least, you know that the starter motor's okay, and there could be a problem in the solenoid. So now if we look at the solenoid, there should be a connection, I think it's here, and that is a thick white red connection. But what you can do is take that connection off, get a jumper cable, connect it to that spade connector like this. And again, what I would recommend you do is, if you're going to be going under your car, disconnect the battery first, connect a jumper to that line, and jump it to this. So what you're doing is you're directly connecting 12 volts directly to the solenoid. Now if your car starts 100%, do it a few times. If it clicks or whatever, then you know the problem is in this solenoid. If it works all the time, what is happening is this white and red wire, it's a thick wire, actually it's quite a long wire, and there's a handful of connections. It goes all the way through the ignition key. There's about 2 or 3, I can't remember, I haven't looked at the book yet, but there's a handful of connector blocks in between the path between this point and your ignition key, and then from the ignition key back to, I think, the fuse box or wherever. And you know, those connections over 50 years can corrode. So what people do sometimes, and I've done it on my May 71 Stag, is I've actually added a relay. Tony Hart added a relay. And you know, they're not too difficult to understand how they work, but basically what's happening with the relay and the way most of them work is you're connecting a direct 12 volts. The white and red wire from the ignition goes into the relay, and when the relay is connected, it's connecting a direct connection from this bolt connection to the solenoid, this little connector block on here. And you know, that's a fix. But as I said, if by connecting a wire to that terminal and connecting it to this battery live, your car starts 100%, that means you have a wiring issue that needs to be addressed, and they are a pain. I've tried resolving a wiring issue all the way from the ignition to the battery. It's just difficult. Probably the easiest suggestion is to add a relay. You know, I also, these cars are about 50 years old. You know, if you have someone who can repair one, and so if you you know, is it wise to replace them? I don't know. It's your choice. I was able to open up my solenoid. You can open them up. I haven't created a video, but you need a very heavy duty soldering iron because there's a couple of heavy solders on some of these things. I've actually opened it up, cleaned the contacts, put it back, and it still didn't work. I might have mentioned this, I bought one from Rimmer Brothers, a reconditioned one, put it in, it didn't work. In the end, I put my old one back in and added a relay that I bought locally from a shop. But you know, as I said, there's a couple of places that they're very simple to wire up, they're not difficult, but a couple of Triumph folks will sell you relays with wires already connected, so that's something that you could do. But as mentioned, you want to be super careful because you've got battery, the direct supply from the batteries coming on this, especially on Mark 1, probably Mark 2 has the same thing. It's coming, it's always live, so you want to be careful when you're working under the car. Disconnect the battery, do all these experiments I've tested, and then connect the battery up. Or if you wanted to, for example, you could disconnect the battery, create a jumper wire, connect this back up, and then be safe at the top of the car, connect your battery terminal to the battery post. If it wants to start, then you know, hey, you've got it's a wiring issue between the ignition and this. So some suggestions anyway.